Welcome to This Week in Princeton Vikings Athletics here on ESPN Media, powered by Sidearm Sports and VikeNation.org. I'm Jason Griefer, and we're joined by Princeton Athletic Director Joe Roberts. Joe, good to talk to you once again. A lot of busy things going on right now. I know you're a very busy man. We certainly appreciate a little bit of your time.
Morning, Jason. It's great to be on this morning. It's great to get back, getting these winter series started again.
Yeah, a lot of them going on right now, and let's get right into it. And obviously, a lot of things are moving around. A lot of schedules are changing. We'll see if we can get a full week in here without any hiccups here as we go forward here. At least that's the hope anyway. Let's start in the pool, and a lot of busy things going on. We talked last week with Tamed about things going on last week. Now here we're moving into this week, and then the regular season is starting to wind down right now. And a really good performance against West Claremont. Tough results against Seton, but Seton's always a good squad there. What's the mindset of the team right now with the regular season starting to wind down?
Well, I think from the coach's perspective, the mindset is getting prepared for the postseason. There's been so many different adjustments to our schedule. You brought up the Seton, where we had lost Seton earlier in the season due to quarantine. But we didn't want to lose that meet, and we wanted to keep them on the schedule simply because we're trying to give our kids the maximum amount of opportunities to be in the water and go against competition. Now, it's a double-edged sword. If we would have swam against Seton from our girls' perspective earlier in the season, when they are just starting out and we are just starting out, you might have seen a little bit different type of race versus where they are now. And using the term tapering, teams are starting to taper in preparation for whether it's their conference tournament or for the sectional that will be coming up the first weekend in February. So it was different, but at the end of the day, we got kids in the water. And then, as you said, we went over to West Claremont and saw a completely different pool. While I'm not an aficionado and swimmer, I do believe there are fast pools, and you just see a different scenario. And then, of course, this week here, we'll come in tonight and we'll have Colerain in for a little duel and just kind of get ready to go and start looking to what we can do to post times at the conference meet, which will be at the end of January over at Mason.
So busy time for them, needless to say. Yeah. But again, as you said, getting in the water right now, I think is the most important time as they're heading towards the sectionals eventually coming up here in a couple of weeks. Let's move on to the wrestling mat, and saw some stuff on social media. Team took on Fairfield over the weekend in a duel. How did they look there? And also I want to talk about one of your freshmen, Micah Cottrell, a 5-1 start at 120. Pretty impressive.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And, that's what we need. And, we're going to only be able to say this, Jason, for the rest of this year. I believe that, COVID has affected what we do. I was in the practice room on Friday before they headed over to Lakota West for that duel with Fairfield and West. And I call them the Magnificent Seven because right now we only have 7 wrestlers. And we, our numbers are down, and we can, like I said, we're only going to be able to talk about COVID for a year, and then it's going to have to change to a different standpoint. But Micah is wrestling extremely well right now. He's at a high level of confidence. He's getting a lot of work done in the practice room. I think Coach Powell, being able to kind of spar with him a little bit as well, I think that helps him from a technical standpoint and letting him kind of focus on what he needs to do to get ready. And then, it's hard to believe that we haven't had as many matches. We've lost so much. And then this week is going to be a great wrestling grind for our kids. Thursday we'll head up to Hamilton. Friday we're heading over to Lakota East to go against East and Ross. And then Saturday we'll head to Moeller. And so, we've got to get on the mat. We've got to put pressure there. I think from a league standpoint and making the decision to not have a league tournament was absolutely the right thing to do and just run dual formats and everybody wrestle 9 duels, and then we'll go from there. But that gets us against every school individually from a dual format standpoint, and then that'll get us ready for the postseason. So I think, again, wrestling is one of those individual sports inside a team game. And so I think, you take Micah and you can see where he could go at the 120 weight class and maybe possibly see a state qualifier out of that.
Talked a little bit with Tamet last week about this, and I want to get your thought on this. I've always looked at wrestling as perhaps the most difficult sport to try and pull off because of all the close contact you have to be in order to compete there. And you said that, the numbers are down. You're not able to get as many matches in as you would like. How have your kids and coaches handled all that?
Well, I hats off to what Coach Powell has done this season, and how have they handled it? I guess at the end of the season, we're going to sit down with all the kids and just really look at them and ask them what was different this year, or what did you face? But when they show up for practice and they're in the building at school, they're business, and they're ready, and it is a different mentality versus when they're home, and bringing them back. And so I think that our kids have shown tremendous resilience and willingness to make all the necessary changes possible in order to be able to participate, in order to be able to go to school, in order to be able to engage with their fellow students. And so they get it. It's not easy for anyone. None of this is easy, and none of it's supposed to be easy, but neither is athletics and neither is wrestling. So, yeah, we run into that. It's crazy that they can roll around on a mat and slap one another and throw each other down on the ground, but then when it's over, you can't shake hands. I still don't understand that whole scenario,
Yeah.
but I guess they say it is what it is, and we're just doing all we can to keep the kids going.
Yeah, it's a little crazy how we're can do things like that, but other things can't happen. I know in some states, as far as basketball, high school basketball goes, there's no jump
Yeah.
ball. You do a coin toss to determine the opening
Yeah.
possession, but then
over in Kentucky, over in Kentucky, they're doing it that way, and everyone's got to go about this different. They've got to listen to to their health medical professionals and what people are saying to them. But we're all in this business to try to give these kids opportunities to play and to compete. And so if that's what it means, that's what it means.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've got a busy time coming up. Boys bowling, let's move over there to the lanes. They've got a busy time coming up. They've got the next four scheduled to be on the road, but in a bit of a tough stretch as a team right now. But I want to focus on one young man in particular, and that's Cody Carlson. He leads the GMC in scoring right now. He's averaging 215 per game right now, so he's performing very, very well. But take us through how he's working kind of not outside of the competition, and in particular helping his teammates try and elevate their games up there and be somewhere near where he is.
Yeah, that's a great statement right there, Jason. Coach Wilson says to the team all the time, watch the example that Cody has put forth, because at one point in time, Cody was bowling like you are bowling. That you have to build a foundation and start somewhere. Cody didn't just walk out there and grab a bowling ball and start, rolling for a 300. That wasn't the way it was. He had to spend time. He caught interest in it, and so he sort of leads by the example. And our boys team, when they're out there, I really enjoy watching them, because they're together. They're starting to really lean on one another, and they know that Cody's going to be the one that kind of leads the average. So it's what the rest of the team can do to support him, but up their average each and every match, so that they can, as a team, score the highest possible. And it's really neat to watch them do that. There's no animosity in that. They all have their spot that they're playing, and they're all trying to compete to beat one another at a time, but yet they're working as a team. And so that transcends on the boys' side. And then on the girls' side, man, are we young. And I think our girls program has just a tremendous opportunity to grow. We've got 3 freshmen out there rolling right now. And so there is potential to add more for the girls program. And coach tells them too. He says, just watch what Cody's done. Look at the time Cody has put in. And it is amazing. 2 of the young girls on our bowling team have never bowled ever. And they got in. We did what we could to beg them, from a lack of a better term. We recruited the heck out of them. And I will say this: my daughter's on the bowling team, and she's a freshman, and she played freshman volleyball, and the other 2 girls were on the freshman volleyball team. So we recruited the heck out of them to get them to come and be a part of the bowling program, and they literally enjoy every step of the way of it. It's very frustrating to throw the ball in the gutter. We all know that. But at times, when they start knocking down pins, you can see the excitement or the accomplishment that they're doing and they're progressing. And there's going to be some great things that can come from that bowling program.
Well, and they got the win over Lakota East last week, so that was good. Of course, they're going to be making the travels this week as well. With such a young team, with all these freshmen that you're talking about, do they understand the idea that yes, it may be tough now, but you're laying the foundation for a lot of potential success in the years to come?
No, they don't. They don't. They truly don't. And part of it has to do with the fact that they're freshmen. You know, they don't understand that. But they're getting to that point. And part of that has to do with learning how to compete. You know, let's go back. As middle school kids, you're playing against other teams and you're learning that progress. And then all of a sudden you become a freshman in high school. And it literally truly is, in terms of where we are from a volleyball standpoint to a bowling standpoint to whatever sport, when you're a freshman, it really is still development. Because you're learning how to build certain skills and build certain flow and build certain tendencies in order to prepare yourself. Now, some have it quicker than others, and it's still a developmental thing. The girls, going back into the fall, everybody wants to win, but everybody needs to learn how to play. So then bring that into the winter. Everybody wants to win. That win against East was huge from a confidence standpoint to show the girls, hey, look, we're not going to walk out here every night and get beat every single night. We can do this, but they're not there yet. They're not there. They will be. I think that by the time they hit spring and they start doing more conditioning and they do things to that effect, it's going to be a different standpoint next year than it is this year.
How much recruiting to do to get your daughter on the team?
Not much. To be honest, not much. She's been bowling since she was very young. We back in Lexington, we had youth leagues, Saturday morning youth leagues, and so she started back when she was 7 or 8 years old bowling. She is not technically, there where anyone else would be, but she wanted to bowl. She wanted to be on the bowling team from the beginning. So that recruiting part was easy. Getting her 2 friends to join, that was something totally different because, like I said, they had never bowled ever in their life. They didn't know. But to watch them succeed, to watch them knock down, as Coach Wilson likes to say, go for that 10 pin every time and watch how frustrated they are when they don't knock down the 10 pin. It's really great to watch. And
as you said, laying the foundation for the down the road for sure. And the win over Lakota East, a big shot in the arm in that respect. Let's move on to the hardwood and let's start with the boys. And we're actually scheduled to see the boys a couple of times this week on WatchHSSports.tv against Fairfield and Mason coming up this weekend. So our first chance to look at them. They're right now 2-1 in the league. So they're actually tied at the top in the loss column, just don't have as many games in as everybody else in to this point. So when fans tune in on WatchHSSports.tv for these games, scheduled games against Fairfield and Mason on Friday and Saturday, respectively, what can they expect to see from the team?
Defensive resilience. You're right. We've had two quarantines this year that has set us back 28 days as compared to where others are. We came off of a quarantine on the 14th of January and went ahead and picked up Middletown that Friday night because it was a conference game. And you could completely tell that we didn't have our legs in front of us. But then we walked out last night against St. X, and the score's not reflective of the effort that the kids gave. And St. X, hats off to Coach Nazca and what St. X is doing right now. I mean, they're just a fundamentally tough basketball program. But from a defensive standpoint, our kids are as defensive-minded and as tough as you'll see in our league and quite possibly in our area. They are going to get in your face. They are going to pressure you for 32 minutes, and they're not going to let up. And as a result of that, we work on quick turnovers if we can and high-level transition. They've got to continue to condition. They've got to get their legs back under them. You can see how tired they get pretty quick. And if I remember correctly, Coach and I were talking about this starting this past Friday. We have 16 games in 29 days. So there's not going to be a day where we have to take off. We've got to be ready to go and just get after them. And, we're preparing ourselves for that postseason play right now.
And again, that we will see them this Friday and Saturday against Fairfield and Mason on watchhsports.tv. So Vikings fans tune in there. Let's move on to the girls' side, and we're going to see the girls this coming week on a Wednesday as they take on Lakota West. And this is a big week coming up until we reconvene a week from now. You've got Lakota West coming Wednesday, and then you've got, Oak Hills in the weekend, but then a lot of people looking towards the big one on Monday. Next Monday against Mason. And I point that out because both Princeton and Mason right now, it's 7-0 in the league. So these are two first place teams. This game could just have a very big say in who winds up winning the league title here. And of course, also you got Lakota West coming up on Wednesday. They're 8-2 in the league. So this is a huge week for the team that could very well define the rest of the conference season. What is Coach Phillips wanting to see from her team in the next week?
Well, she is, coming off a journey to the tourney this past weekend, faced a very, very tough Centerville team on Saturday, faced an extremely young and talented Trotwood Madison team on Sunday, and walked away 1-1 from the weekend. And then leading into what you were talking about, Jason, tomorrow night, a rematch with West. And I think West is going to be a little bit different basketball team than what we saw at the beginning of the season when we went over there and took care of business like we needed to. She has our girls playing extremely well right now. And they play, our girls play without fear, for the lack of a better term. They are not concerned about being down 11 or being down 4 or being up 7. They're concerned about playing the game and executing. We are a very high-level attacking basketball program for our girls. And so I think that we are going to continue to do those things night in and night out. And we're not going to play so far, we're not going to play to the other team. We're going to play our game of basketball, and we're going to do what we need to do to stop them. And so I think this is a big week, and everybody is looking at that rescheduled match on Monday, January 25th. And I think it's going to be an incredible basketball game, but I believe this coming Wednesday and Saturday are going to be great basketball games as well. I'm really proud of what the girls are doing. Soleil is still on the sideline, rehabbing daily, and our girls have all stepped up and filled some unbelievable roles and just taken on their spots to be successful.
Yeah, they have a really impressive backcourt. That's the one thing I was impressed with when we saw them on watchhsports.tv take on Sycamore a couple of weeks back. This is a talented group that you have in the backcourt. Madison Rochelle, LaSonia Hill, and Taryn Cash. They're a handful to deal with in that backcourt.
Yep, and then what that does is it draws that attention off of Didi quite a bit, and then you put that inside presence in there, and Didi has really come into her own, and that has really helped. And that's where it comes into a good fundamental team basketball.
And they certainly have that, and they've been playing very, very well. As you said, 7-0 in the league and winning league games by nearly 25 points per game. So not only winning, but doing it in convincing fashion. But again, a huge week coming up. Lakota West, they're sitting at 8-2 in the league. You're going to get them on a Wednesday on watchhsports.tv. We're certainly looking forward to that. Joe, certainly appreciate your time this week. A lot of exciting stuff going on, and can't wait to recap a week from now.
Absolutely, Jason. I want to thank you again, and I cannot wait for you guys to be out covering our games this week on hsports.tv. It's going to be absolutely a wonderful opportunity. I really appreciate your guys' continued commitment to Vike Nation and to being able to get our kids the exposure that they need.
Well, and they keep putting out the results, so we're just the conduit to show off to the Vike Nation that what they can do, and they've had a lot of success thus far in the winter season, and I'm sure it'll continue coming up this week. That is Princeton Athletic Director Joe Roberts joining us for This Week in Princeton Vikings Athletics here on VikeNation.org and ESP Media, powered by Sidearm Sports.